Hi everyone, I'm here today to do my 12-week update, which it's a little bit crazy. 12 weeks feels like kind of a big milestone to get to. And I know I'm not technically out of the first trimester for another week or two, depending on what you go by. But it still feels like a big milestone to get to. So anyway, it's really exciting to be at this point. I'm actually 12 weeks, 2 days today. My due date is definitely the 27th of February. So that's kind of nice to have that determined for sure. And of course that has no effect on when the baby is actually going to come. Who knows? I'm pretty certain that it's going to be a March baby. But we'll see. My son was born on his due date, so you never know. I don't expect to have another one born on their due date. Only about 5% of babies are actually born on their due date, so we'll see. But it's just kind of nice to have one clear, concrete due date and be able to stick with that and use that. So I'm going to refer to my computer. I actually have multiple devices to do the update today. I'm finally kind of starting to figure out how I can actually be organized and kind of do it the way that I want to do it. So I have kind of notes on my computer, and then I have actually an old cell phone with some apps on it to help show where baby is at this point. So at 12 weeks, the baby is about the size of a ripe apricot or a plum, which I guess they must be about the same size. I don't know why it has to be a ripe apricot specifically, but that's what it said. Or a toy soldier. Or this app actually, the Ovia pregnancy app, also says it's the size of a Orboro, I'm not going to be able to pronounce it, some kind of hamster. This is the picture of, oh, is it not going to show up? Let's see. Totally is not going to show up. It's too bright. Let's see if we get, there we go. So it's that hamster, and I don't think it's going to focus on the name, but apparently it's the size of some kind of hamster. That must be a very small hamster, but I thought that was kind of cute. And so that's all about 2.5 inches and weighing about ½ ounce. So it's still small, but certainly growing. And as far as how I'm feeling this week, symptoms, pretty much the same symptoms that I've talked about before. Still tired, still dealing with nausea. I don't think I've thrown up in the last week, so that's good. Hopefully I'm not due. It's basically been like once a week, so hopefully it's not gonna, maybe that's done. I have a really low appetite. I'm like not really hungry, not really eating much. I have not yet gained weight, and I've actually lost some weight. Not significant at this point, less than 10 pounds, but still, it's like, okay, when is it going to start going the other way? And this happened, the same thing happened with my first pregnancy, so. And I still have the bad taste in my mouth that I talked about last week, and it gets worse as the day goes on, which goes along with the nausea getting worse, so that's fun. And my mouth also feels really dry a lot of the time. Like I'm constantly like sipping on things because I can't really drink a lot at once. But I'm like constantly sipping on things, and I still feel like my mouth is just always dry. So that's kind of weird. Food-wise, still liking cold stuff. Popsicles are nice, especially like in the evening when I don't really feel like eating anything. That kind of helps me to sell a little bit, and then I can maybe eat a little bit of something. Still liking the iced tea and the iced tea and lemonade combined. The peach iced tea that I mentioned last week is still really nice. And I had my first, what I'm gonna call like an actual craving the other day, where I was driving, I think Lex had swim lessons, and we were driving home from that, and all of a sudden, it was the weirdest thing. I wanted like a ham and cheese croissant, which it's not something that I eat. Like, it was just really weird and kind of out of left field. And the best that I could do was I stopped at Dunkin' Donuts, which is prevalent in this part of the country, in the Northeast, but I know is not common or not even present in some other parts of the country, and certainly probably not in other countries, I would guess. But anyway, Dunkin' Donuts is like a coffee shop with bagels and sandwiches and stuff like that. So I stopped at Dunkin' Donuts and got a croissant with egg and cheese on it, and that was actually really good, and kind of helped that craving. And then actually the next day I tried to stop and get one again, and they were out of croissants, and it was like, oh, and it was the last Dunkin' Donuts. Like, I passed multiple ones on my way home from running errands, and I stopped at the last one, so like there wasn't another option, so I had to settle for getting a sandwich on an English muffin instead, which was not nearly as good. So that has been, like, I'm gonna call that like my first official craving, because it was just so out of left field and so strong. So yeah, so that's interesting. And I don't really have any like specific aversions that have stuck around. There are things that I don't want in the moment, but it doesn't last, so I'm not going to say that I have any real aversions. So now bringing you to my prenatal appointment that I had last Friday. So it was my first prenatal appointment, and it was with a midwife, and I was 11 weeks and 4 days at that appointment, and everything was good, and you know, we kind of went over some stuff, and I had a few questions and all of that, and she did some exams, and then went to try to listen for the heartbeat with the Doppler, and she like prefaced it by saying, you're still early, like the heart is like the size of a grain of rice or something like that, so like it's difficult to hear it, so you know, it might take a while or whatever. So she went and tried to listen and moved it around a bunch and all that, and I don't know how long. It was probably only like a minute and a half, something like that she was looking for it. Couldn't find it. So she was like, all right, like she didn't seem super concerned. I was not super concerned, but it was a little bit off-putting and a little bit nerve-wracking. Like, you want to hear that heartbeat. So then she did a little bit more of an exam and told me that my uterus is a little bit tipped back, which can also contribute to not being able to hear it this early. I guess as you go along in pregnancy, it kind of gets pushed forward. So like, I had my first prenatal appointment with my son when I was about 14 weeks. And so at that point, my uterus would have been forward enough so that they had no issue. And, you know, he was big enough by then that it was not a problem to hear it. So they heard it right away. So this time, didn't hear the heartbeat, so she was like, so we're gonna, you know, we'll get you in for an ultrasound. I don't know if they'll be able to see you today, but, you know, we'll try, and this was on Friday, but we'll get you in as soon as we can and just confirm that everything's okay. So went to check out and schedule that ultrasound, and they had nothing available that day, so we were gonna have to wait the weekend. They had an appointment to offer me on Monday morning, but it conflicted with my son's swim lessons, and I wasn't concerned enough to kind of mess with his schedule. And we're gonna miss the last lesson, which is next week anyway, so I kind of didn't want to mess with that. So I got an appointment on Tuesday afternoon, which was yesterday, and my husband and I both were kind of trying to act like we weren't nervous, and I wasn't really concerned. I asked on a couple of pregnancy groups that I'm in on Facebook, and people were like, yeah, we couldn't hear it then either, and everything was fine, or yeah, my doctor won't even try to listen that early. They won't try until like 14 or 16 weeks. So I wasn't super concerned. But there was still, like, in the back of my mind, I know stories of people who have gone in and found out that they've lost the baby at like 10 weeks or whatever and had no symptoms that the baby was gone. So still a little bit worrisome. Anyway, so we went in for, obviously everything's fine because I'm not upset. So I just want to say that now. So we went in yesterday afternoon, dropped my son off at a friend's house, and went in for the ultrasound. And it was an abdominal ultrasound, which I didn't know what kind it was going to be, but it was an over the belly ultrasound. And so she's like, all right, let's just get in there. And so she put it on, and like, you could see the baby right away, and she's like, let's find the heartbeat, and found it, and there it was beating away. And she measured it, and it was beating around, I think she said 154 or something like that. So that was really reassuring. We got to see a little bit of the baby. We got to see like the head and the legs, and I think the arms, and the spine, and the little stomach that's starting to fill up, she said. And so that was all really good and reassuring, and measuring right where it should be. Yesterday I was 12 weeks one day. It was measuring at 12 weeks one day, so all is perfect. And so this is the picture that we got. It's not the best picture, but it is, and of course it's glary, but this is like the profile of the face, and then the spine along the bottom, and then like the legs at the bottom there. And I guess the legs were crossed, which is cool. So I got basically two of the same picture. They look essentially identical. So that was really good and reassuring to have that, and it was amazing seeing how much more like a baby it looks now than it did 4 weeks ago when I had my last ultrasound, when it was really just a little blob. So that was cool, and I'm glad that we had that reassurement. Anyway, it was reassuring. So yeah, so I go back for my next prenatal appointment when I will be 16 weeks, which is September 9th is my next appointment. So we are going to be going away on vacation. We're leaving on Saturday for 2 weeks to go with my family to a cottage that my family's been going to since my dad was a kid, which is really cool. And everyone is going to be there. My whole family, my sister and niece are flying in from the West Coast, and so like the whole family is going to be there, which is for the first week, which is really nice. And then the second week will be a little quieter, I think, with just my parents and us, but it'll be fun. So I will not be doing updates for the next 2 weeks, I don't think, because I'll be away, but I'll be back. When I come back, I will be just about to turn 16 weeks. That can't be right. I'm 12 weeks now. I'll be gone when I'm 13 weeks and 14 weeks. So I'll be just about to turn 15 weeks when we get back. Yes, that's right. I'll be just about to turn 15 weeks when we get back. So yeah, I guess that's right. Anyway, I'm not going to edit this, so I'm not going to spend any more time hemming and hawing over it. I'll be 15 weeks when we get back. And the last thing to share is that we officially last night announced publicly on Facebook, so it's Facebook official now, that we're expecting, and I will include at the end of this video, I will include the picture that we used as the announcement, which is I was really happy with how it turned out. And it involved cloth diapers, which are kind of a passion of mine, so I knew from the beginning that it was going to be a cloth diaper announcement. Anyway, so that is it for today. I am going to do a quick little belly shot. I was debating whether I was comfortable with it yet, but I think I'm just going to go for it, because there's definitely starting to be a little bit of a bump there. So I'm going to turn this and see if we can get this. So this is at 12 weeks. And there's definitely something growing down there. I mean, I don't have the flattest stomach to start with, but there's definitely a little bit of a bump starting there. So that's kind of exciting. It's getting to be a little bit tricky figuring out how to lie in bed to sleep at night. So I'm starting to sleep with pillows and stuff like that to prop myself up a little bit, but still have a long way to go. It's still a tiny little bump, and I don't think anyone would be able to recognize that I'm pregnant if they didn't know that I was. So, all right, this is a long update. So thank you so much all for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.